We're Robert and Marissa, and welcome to the UBC Malcolm Knapp Research Forest, located in Maple Ridge. It is a hidden gem nestled in the heart of British Columbia, Canada.
From its influence in establishing economic opportunities in the area, to now being a forefront of sustainable forestry research, it is an integral part of the community. Follow along as we explore two of the 4 color-coded trails located within this forest. Maple Ridge, along with many nearby municipalities, make up Metro Vancouver. Bordering the Pacific Ocean, beautiful mountain ranges, and densely green landscapes, these cities are filled with beautiful trails. It is also home to an incredibly diverse array of wildlife and ecosystems. Located on the traditional territories of the Katzie First Nation, this 5,157-hectare research forest is dedicated to the study and conservation of our local forest ecosystems. Today, the Katzie First Nation and Malcolm Knapp Research Forest are partners in forest management, with a focus on joint activities that provide local community engagement and education. Through guided tours, workshops, and outreach programs, the UBC Malcolm Knapp Research Forest encourages people of all ages to connect with nature. Starting on the trail going counterclockwise, we will first follow a path that belongs to the red, yellow, and blue trail systems, allowing people to choose how long or difficult they would like their walk to be while starting at the same point. So, if you start off very ambitious but get tired along the way, you can always take the shorter red or yellow trails instead of the much longer blue. These trails are well marked and easy to follow, with maps at every junction, so you always know which trail you're on and how far you have left to go. The forests are dominated by large, fast-growing coniferous trees, also known as evergreens. With the most common being the Douglas fir, the western red cedar, and the western hemlock. There's a beautiful variety of plant life in these forests. This is partially because of the multiple climatic subzones, in which part of the forest receives more rain than the rest, leading to very distinct areas of plant types. The variety in terrain also contributes to this diversity, as the forests stretch up the mountainsides into Golden Ears and down towards Pitt Lake and the city of Maple Ridge, spanning nearly 1,000 meters in elevation.
While walking along the trails in Malcolm Knapp, it's really fun that you can come across these signs kind of sprinkled throughout the trails that give you a little bit of information on the area and why it's important.
splitting off onto the yellow trail. We followed a gentle path crossing multiple streams and lush forests. This loop is just over 3 kilometers, taking around 1.5 hours to complete. This is a lovely shorter trail for those wanting to get into nature for a while, but not work up too much of a sweat. We enjoyed our relaxing walk along the yellow trail enough that we knew we had to return for the longer blue trail, where we could explore more of this beautiful forest and some of its viewpoints.
Hi there, welcome back. We're Robert and Marissa in Maple Ridge, and today we are back at the Malcolm Knapp Research Forest, where we will be taking the Blue Trail.
Today's walk should take us about 3 hours, I think. On the way in, though, we did see a sign saying there's problematic bears in the area, so if you come out here for a walk, just be mindful of the bears.
The forest is named after Dr. Malcolm Knapp, to honor his influence in ultimately acquiring and creating the research forest for the University of British Columbia. Professor Knapp taught forestry at UBC for over 40 years. He visualized and designed the facility for the completion of research and education, having a huge impact in the field of sustainable research. A significant area of what is now Malcolm Knapp Research Forest was once old-growth stands. Between 1920 and 1931, around 2,800 acres of this was logged and harvested. A few years later, in 1949, Dr. Malcolm Knapp was able to establish the research forest with the approval of a Crown grant handing the ownership over to the University of British Columbia.
So this filming location is actually really special because my grandfather had a master's in forestry obtained from UBC, which operate this forest. So it's just that much more of an interesting site for us to go and explore.
These woods are separated into several different age classes of forest. While you can tell visually by walking from one plot into another, there are distinct reasons and purposes for these differences. At its oldest, there are small patches of forest with old-growth trees still intact. The age of these trees range as high as over 400 years old. Trees that for one reason or another were not logged by the companies in the area prior to the formation of the research forest. After the old growth, the age of the trees jumps down substantially. At approximately 120 to 140 years old, this section represents nearly half of the western side of the forest. This section of forest comprises the growth that occurred after a devastating fire in 1868, which burned everything in the western side of the area, but select pockets of forest around lakes and streams. The story goes that these fires were started by settlers in the area who accidentally created a spark when clearing the land in the dry season. Getting younger, the next section of trees stand at around 70 to 80 years of age. As we mentioned earlier, large areas of this forest were logged between 1920 and 1931. These woods are what has grown back naturally in those areas. This covers most of the eastern portion of the research forest. After the establishment of Malcolm Knapp Research Forest in 1949, controlled harvesting has led to a range of ages, from approximately 40 years, all the way down to one-year-old tree growth in the area, where trees are harvested and replanted. These areas are used both for forest management research, as well as a means to fund the park and any future research. Some of the research that has come out of the forest contains some of the most extensive data sets in Western North America, with some spanning close to 50 years in project length. This forest, while busy with researchers or members of the public enjoying the trails, is still a forest. And this means that it is home to an abundance of wildlife. Looking forward, Malcolm Knapp Research Forest is critical in the endeavor of sustainable forest management, giving researchers a space to study and develop techniques necessary to balancing the preservation of forest ecosystems with human development. Research in these forests is incredibly active. More than 1,000 projects have been completed, with 100 studies active at any given time. The reasons for these studies make for a long list. Focusing on forest management, preserving biodiversity, carbon storage, and sustainable forestry. The current focus appears to be about how to maximize the growth of these forests and how to measure the impact of the different methods and techniques that are used in forests on the ecosystem.
So that was definitely a young bear checking us out from the woods. Great reminder to be aware that there are bears in this area, and make sure you're staying safe out there.
This incredible area holds over 200 kilometers of trails and roadways, which are maintained by the research forest. These are usable not only for researchers, but also for the public to use for recreation. It's important to remember that while this forest is a working forest, it also acts as a sanctuary for the animals that call the area home. We were a safe distance away from the bear in our encounter, but it's a good reminder to always be alert and bear aware. Because this forest is used so actively in research, they ask the public to do their part in protecting the environment by not bringing dogs, horses, or bicycles into the park. While this park is an invaluable resource to the University of British Columbia, we are incredibly fortunate it is also open to the public. It allows anyone from the local community or traveling to the area to immerse themselves and learn more about our forests. Insight into the trees and plant life you may see in your own backyard or at your local park offers that much more of a connection to the nature around you. This forest contains a great mix of new development in forestry research and conservation, along with glimpses of the past, such as the old steam donkey that was restored and put on display to show the history and importance of the area in the local community.
Thank you for joining on an adventure with us in Malcolm Knapp Park, located in Maple Ridge.
Join us next time when we return to Golden Ears.